An important component of defensive driving is recognizing potential hazards and modifying your driving style to avoid unintended consequences. In short, don't drive into a bad situation unprepared. One of the most common hazards you'll face as a professional driver is the weather. In fact, when driving across several states, you may experience different types of weather in the same day. Probably the most treacherous driving conditions occur during an ice storm. A change in temperature of just several degrees can mean the difference between wet and frozen. Often the difference is difficult to spot visually. Although the truck may seem stable as you're driving along, your tires have minimal grip in these conditions, and once they lose traction, the truck will be uncontrollable. The best countermeasures is to find a safe parking spot and wait until the storm passes. Winter storms can bring what meteorologists call a wintry mix of conditions. As temperatures fall, precipitation can change from rain to sleet to snow. If your truck is equipped with a sensor that displays the temperature outside, this can help determine when conditions may start to change from wet to freezing. Most states treat roads with salt to combat freezing. Some even use liquid to pre-treat the roads before the storm begins. Although these measures are effective, they cannot guarantee that the road will remain wet and not frozen. Actual driving conditions are dependent upon how fast the precipitation is falling and what the temperature is. One indication of freezing conditions is the lack of water spray from passing vehicles. Although this may be a good indicator, there can also be conditions where there is water on top of ice, so you'll still see the spray from other vehicles' tires but can actually be driving on ice. When road conditions deteriorate, the best countermeasure is to reduce speed. Although the truck may seem stable at normal highway speeds, there's a fine line between having enough tire grip to maintain control and losing control. Also, you'll need much more time to slow or stop in response to traffic ahead of you. Don't be tempted to keep up with traffic. Drive your vehicle at a speed that you're comfortable with and that will allow you to maneuver safely. Although fog doesn't affect the handling ability of your truck, it has a profound effect on being able to perceive a problem ahead and react to it. Some of the largest multiple vehicle accidents have occurred during foggy conditions. When your forward visibility is reduced, whether it's by snow, rain, or fog, take note of how many seconds passing vehicles stay in view. That's an indication of how many seconds you'll have to react once you see a vehicle ahead of you. It's important to dramatically increase following distance and reduce speed under these conditions. If visibility is reduced to the point that you can only see less than a few seconds ahead of you, you should consider stopping at the next safe place to do so and wait for improved conditions.